1950s Britain, a nation of bicycles, corner pubs, and radio evenings. The 1950s in Britain began with quiet optimism. The war was over, rationing was fading, and hope flickered like a warm coal fire. Life wasn't easy, but there was comfort in simplicity. In bicycles leaning against brick walls, families gathering around the radio, and the familiar laughter rising from the local pub. Across cities and villages, Britain was rebuilding not just its buildings, but its spirit. There was a charm in those ordinary routines that defined everyday life, where small pleasures meant everything. This was 1950s Britain, a nation of bicycles, corner pubs, and radio evenings, modest, musical, and deeply human. A country on two wheels. Before cars filled the streets, Britain truly was a cycling nation. In the early 1950s, more than 10 million bicycles were in regular use. Compared to barely 2 million cars, petrol was still expensive, and cycling offered independence and freedom. Brands like Raleigh, Hercules, and BSA dominated the market. Men cycled to factories and offices, women used bicycles for shopping or work, and children pedaled to school in short trousers and scarves flapping in the wind. Entire families would go for weekend rides through the countryside, stopping at a tea room for sandwiches and a pot of tea. Cycling wasn't just transport, it was part of the social fabric. Clubs like the Cyclists' Touring Club flourished, organizing weekend rides and competitions. The bicycle bell was the soundtrack of 1950s mornings, and the sight of muddy boots and chain-oiled trousers was as British as rain. By the decade's end, cars began to overtake bicycles, but those early years remained a golden age of pedal-powered freedom. Corner pubs, the beating heart of the neighborhood. If bicycles kept Britain moving, the corner pub kept it smiling. Every street seemed to have one, a snug, smoke-filled gathering place where laughter, friendship, and gossip flowed as freely as the ale. In the 1950s, Britain had over 70,000 public houses, most still family-run. Beer was cheap, and with rationing over, pubs were thriving again. Men came straight from work to share a pint. Women joined on weekends for sing-alongs and darts. Coal fires glowed, wooden benches creaked, and the sound of clinking glasses was a kind of music. There were no smartphones, no blaring televisions, just conversation. Locals debated football, told stories, and toasted birthdays. The pub was where neighbors became friends, where someone always knew your name. The atmosphere was cozy, honest, and unpretentious. In the darker post-war winters, that pub light spilling onto the street was more than a glow. It was belonging. Radio evenings and the voice of a nation. Long before TV became a household fixture, radio was king. Nearly every home in 1950s Britain had a wireless. Big wooden boxes with warm orange dials and a comforting hum when switched on. Families gathered around after tea, sometimes dimming the lights for atmosphere. The BBC Home Service, Light Program, and Third Program offered everything from comedy to classical music. Favorites like The Goon Show, ITMA, and The Archers, which began in 1951 and still airs today, united the nation in laughter and drama. Radio shaped the rhythm of family life. It brought news of the world, the crackle of football commentaries, and the soothing voice of the announcer signing off with "Good night." For many, the radio wasn't just entertainment, it was companionship. Even as televisions began to arrive mid-decade, the radio remained the voice of comfort and connection, a daily ritual that defined home life. Life inside the 1950s British home. A typical 1950s home was modest but full of warmth. Coal fires burned in small hearths, walls were papered in floral patterns, and furniture was solid and practical. Living rooms centered around the radio, or later, a small black and white television. Kitchens were compact, often with a gas stove, enamel sink, and a sturdy wooden table. Appliances like refrigerators and washing machines were still luxuries. So much was done by hand mothers. Boiled laundry in large tubs, ironed with heavy irons, and kept everything spotless. Electricity was spreading fast, but many houses still used coal or gas for cooking. Hot water bottles warmed the beds at night, and ice on the inside of windows was a familiar sight each winter. Yet despite the chill, homes were filled with laughter, tea, and togetherness. The pride in domestic life was strong. People painted their front doors bright colors, tended flower boxes, and displayed family photos and ornaments from seaside trips. In its modesty, the 1950s home represented the best of post-war Britain: resilience, comfort, and care. Work, wages, and the Great Rebuilding. The 1950s marked a decade of recovery and rebuilding. Britain's economy, scarred by war, began to rise steadily again. Unemployment remained low, rarely above 2%, and industries like coal, steel, and shipbuilding thrived. Factories hummed, and men in flat caps cycled to work carrying tin lunchboxes. Women, too, found growing opportunities in offices, schools, and shops. The welfare state, born in the late 1940s, expanded. The NHS, family allowances, and council housing offered security the previous generation could only dream of. There was a sense of purpose and pride in work. Make do and mend still guided families, but slowly, Britain's pay packets grew heavier. Wages rose, consumer goods appeared, and towns like Stevenage, Harlow, and Basildon, the new towns, became symbols of progress. The post-war generation worked hard, but they also dreamed bigger. They were laying the foundations for the modern Britain that would flourish in the 1960s. Fashion, youth, and the sound of change. After years of wartime uniforms and rationing, the 1950s exploded in color and style. Clothes rationing ended in 1949, and people expressed themselves through fashion. Again, women wore full skirts, bright prints, and pearls. Men returned to well-cut suits and polished shoes. But it was the youth who truly shook things up. Britain's teenagers were born in wartime, but came of age in prosperity. They had spending money and opinions. The Teddy Boys arrived mid-decade, wearing long drape jackets, drain-pipe trousers, and shiny brogues. Inspired by American rock and roll and Edwardian style, they were bold, rebellious, and proud. Music was changing too. The skiffle craze led by Lonnie Donegan made guitars accessible to working-class kids. It was in these years that young lads in Liverpool and London started forming bands, including future Beatles and Rolling Stones members. Dance halls filled every weekend. Young couples jived and cha-cha-ed beneath glittering lights while jukeboxes blasted rock around the clock. Britain's youth culture, energetic, stylish, and daring, had begun. The rise of leisure and new freedom. By the mid-1950s, Britain was breathing easier. Wages improved, rationing finally ended in 1954, and a new sense of leisure emerged. Families could afford small luxuries, a television, a car, or a summer holiday by the seaside. Cinemas were packed. The British Film Institute recorded over 1 billion ticket sales a year early in the decade. Films starring Alec Guinness, Audrey Hepburn, and Dirk Bogarde provided escape and glamour. For everyday leisure, Sunday roasts, family walks, and a pint at the local remained essential. Fish and chips were Britain's favorite treat, wrapped in newspaper and eaten with fingers. Children played outdoors, building dens, skipping, and flying kites, long before screens took over childhood. The bicycle still ruled daily life, but cars like the Morris Minor and Austin A30 symbolized newfound mobility. Roads began to hum with engines, and petrol rationing was a memory Britain was on the move, not just physically, but socially and culturally. the spirit of a resilient nation. Looking back, 1950s, Britain was more than ration books and gray skies. It was a decade of quiet determination. People rebuilt their homes, their communities, and their joy. The era blended hard work with humor and modest living with deep pride. Even amid smog and soot, there was beauty. The laughter echoing from a pub, the warmth of a coal fire, the bicycle leaning by the gate. Radio voices brought stories that united the nation. Children found wonder in simple things. From the cobblestones of old towns to the new streets of post-war estates, this was Britain rediscovering itself. The 1950s may feel distant now, but its heart, community, resilience, and hope still beats in British culture today. And so, 1950s. Britain, a nation of bicycles, corner pubs, and radio evenings, remains not just a memory, but a mirror, reflecting who the British people were and the timeless values that continue to shape who they are. The 1950s were Britain's decade of rediscovery, where everyday moments built the foundation of modern life. It was the age of bicycles, corner pubs, and radio evenings, where family, friendship, and simple pleasures defined happiness. Though much has changed, the warmth of that era still lingers. In stories, memories, and the enduring spirit of post-war Britain. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.